Here. This is Lady O, and I have some wonderful guests today that is going to really be something you probably have never ever heard before. So I want to kind of give you a heads up so you can go ahead and call all of your friends, and especially those that have young people, children, teenagers. This is going to be so exciting because it's going to be talking about a sports that most of us have never really thought about or heard about before, but it's so exciting. And it's about jump rope. Okay. And I have a couple here that's going to come and talk to us about what they do. And they've been doing for so many years, and they'll tell you all about that. It's so much fun. And even to see it, parents, it's just makes you feel like I used to jump rope, but I never jumped rope like the double dutch and things like that. But I would jump rope and I was really good at it and I loved it. But when you see them jump rope, it's at a different level. It's something that I could not do, but I really wish I could have, because it looks like so much fun and they make it look so easy. So if you are looking for some young people to come and talk to your youngsters about life and about their life and about doing something really positive in their life, you want to make sure that you have your church members and your groups, all your special groups that are looking for young people to come, because they go all over the world and they will come to you. So I want you to go ahead and like, share with all of your contacts and your people that you know, because this is something that you really, really, really don't want to miss, and you don't want your family and friends to miss it. All right, so get those cousins, get those nephews, everybody on the line. We are ready to go. So I want to welcome today to Tea Talk to a young couple that I met a long, long time ago. I met this young man when he was really, really little. He'll tell you about that, but he has a beautiful bride that he's bought, and I've learned to love her. And so would you help me welcome to Tea Talk, Kaylee and Nick Woodard, and give them a hand clap and say hello. Hi,
How y'all
guys. Welcome
doing?
to Tea Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we are so happy to have you guys. And you're not in Houston anymore. Nick, you grew up here in Houston.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Right. What school did you attend? Tell us about you and you growing up and being a part of Houston. What part of the Houston were you in?
For sure. So I was in the northwest side of Houston, the Cy-Fair area. I grew up and went to Wilburn Elementary. Then I went to Campbell Middle School. And then after that, I graduated in 2006 from Cy Falls High School.
Cy Falls. Okay. All right. The green and gold, huh?
Got it. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Wonderful. And so I know that you left Cy-Fair area and went on into this great career. And I want you to introduce your wife, even though she came on a little bit later, but still she's so pretty and she's sitting here. So why don't you introduce the Tea Talk to your wife and tell us how many years you guys have been married?
For sure. So that's my beautiful wife, Kaylee.
Hello.
She's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We met through the sport of jump rope. And we've been married now for 4 years. Got married in December of 2018. Yep, 2018. So everything.
4 years. Wow.
Yeah, 4 years. So we're loving everything.
Wow. And I love Baton Rouge. I really do. I love going there. And of course, the food is amazing.
Mhm.
So, Kaylee, can you cook that Cajun food or you just eat it?
I'm learning to cook the Cajun food. Yep. So I'm working on my jambalaya and my gumbo, trying to perfect the recipes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Well, good, good, good. Now, where do you all live now?
We're in Bowling Green, Kentucky right now. So it's a pretty small town, about an hour north of Nashville. And we like it. It's definitely a smaller town, but the people are great. And so we're enjoying it.
Yeah. We were there in Kentucky a couple of months ago, and some friends took us to the horse races. And so are y'all have a lot of horse racing going on where you are?
Not really in Bowling Green.
No, I mean, I think that's the Lexington, Louisville area. And
yeah,
so
that's where we were.
Yeah, so the Kentucky Derby. So these are all things that are happening out here. We just haven't really been engrossed into it yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Okay, well, listen, let's go back and talk about jump rope. So, Nick, you know, right up under my eyes, you were jumping rope there at the daycare center in the summer program that I was running at that time. And I saw you jumping rope, but I saw you just as Nick just jumping that rope, but it was like all of a sudden it became, oh, it's not just like little Nick jumping rope anymore. It's Nick. Mr. Nick is
Sure.
jumping some rope. Tell us about how this evolved.
For sure. So for me, I started jumping when I was 6 years old. So my PE teacher at Woodard Elementary, David Vaughn, had a jump rope team there, and they did a small performance first. And which, as a student at the school, I just enjoyed the show, and they were promoting a workshop that weekend. So I went to the workshop, loved the workshop, and I had friends on the team. From there, they invited me to join the morning jump rope club, which I loved. And then after that, a couple months or so, I was able to join the afternoon jump rope team. And that's where I found out that you could perform and then that you could compete as well. So then I started kind of on this journey of just learning skills, going to different workshops and understanding how to put routines together. And then I slowly but surely started to compete. And then now it's been 29 years that I've been inside the sport. I'm a 5-time national champion, a 14-time world champion. So it's been one of those things that over the years, like just learning more skills, meeting new people, it's just opened up a lot of doors. Like God's really been, has really blessed me and us through the sport of jump rope. And so it's been really cool to kind of, like you said, see it evolve of this, like me just kind of jumping and doing small things to like me being on a really, really big stage, which I never thought would happen with jump rope. And here it is.
I know, and you can actually make a living off of it too.
Wow.
So I know back in that day when you first started jumping rope, you had no idea that it would lead, or did you think it would lead to something this great?
No idea at all. I mean, I was doing it because it was fun. It was very unique to me, and I just really enjoyed it. I also, growing up, played other sports, football, basketball, I ran track. So I did all those things, but I always gravitated back to jump rope just because there was something so unique there, something that I just couldn't let go of. And then as I got older, 20 or so, I started trying to see how I can make it into a career. And I had the opportunity to travel to Seattle, Washington. I was the head coach of a jump rope team for about 5 years. Had about 90 kids ranging from like 5 years old up to my adults in their mid 50s and 60s. And so that was a great experience. And then to now, where me and my wife, we have our business, Learning the Ropes, and we promote the sport now. So it's like, it's evolved, it's crazy, and it's still evolving to this day.
Wow. Okay, Kaylee, now tell us about how you got involved in jump rope.
Yeah, so it's a relatively similar story. I remember sitting in my second grade classroom and looking out the window and seeing all of my friends like lined up, ready to leave school in the middle of the day. And I was like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Because I'm sitting here in class. And turns out they were going to a jump rope for heart demonstration. They were part of the jump rope team. And so after that, I was like, all right, maybe maybe I'll try out for the team. So I tried out, and kind of similar to Nick, once I joined the team, I learned that you could compete with this thing. And I was just a kid that I just wanted to compete in something. And jump rope became that thing for me. And kind of similar to Nick, like moved up through the ranks and started competing at the national level and then the world level, and started winning some championships as well. And it's a unique sport that just allows you to be so creative and meet so many people. And I think the thing that kind of kept me going, it was the people and the connections and the relationships that you can make through the sport. And just, I don't know, you can bless somebody just by demonstrating and kind of showing them this unique thing that you have. So that's what kept me going all of these years.
Wow. So let me ask you this, because it's just so amazing to me, because I never heard of it in any of the schools that I attended or that my kids attended. I never heard of it. So are they in the schools today, or is it just in the community centers, or where would someone find out about getting their children enrolled into a program in their community or school?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It is in some schools. That there are definitely select schools that maybe a PE teacher has kind of taken that lead and they have started a program, which is awesome. I don't see it a ton at community centers and rec centers. It does happen occasionally. But really, that's one of our goals with our business, is to build up the grassroots to where it's not one school out of 100 that has a jump rope program. It's 99 schools out of 100 that have a jump rope program. And so it's more accessible. So do you know of things going on in the Houston area? I know in Katy,
Yeah, so there's one team in Katy that's going on right now. They've been there for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And like I said, my team, Razzmatazz, we were there for some years as well. But yeah, things just kind of like died down. And really, once a PE teacher, once they wanted to stop, nobody really took it on after that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think that's why things were kind of dropping off as well. And similar to what Kaylee was saying, like we want to be able to build up that grassroots efforts now. And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're actually producing a virtual competition amongst schools.
Yeah.
And so far we've had about, it's a free competition. We've had 200 schools worldwide sign up, which is great. And so far we've had about 50 schools actually send in their scores. So we're hoping that we'll have, more and more kids and schools sign up so that we can have thousands of kids jumping around the world and understanding that you can compete in this sport, and then hopefully it'll grow for them later on like it did for us.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Wow. And I'm sitting here thinking about that because, I was a kindergarten teacher for so many years, and you see these little kids and they're just can't sit still and they're just jumping and bouncing all over the place. And what the teacher wants to tell them, can you just sit still? Can you just go back to your seat? Can you just stop bouncing off the wall? But a lot of them, I believe, is just a part of the gifting in their body, their muscles and things, that it's a natural thing to do. So I'm thinking to myself, what a tragedy that a travesty that we don't have something like this in the schools for the kids to get out those little jumps and things that you want to move. In the have you ever thought about maybe seeing if in the public school systems they could get just like they have all other kind of sports? But I guess you'd have to have a coach that could do it or that would want to do it. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. And yeah. And so, I mean, if anybody's listening and you're like, there's that little, bug in your ear that maybe you might want to be the one to start a program, at your school, or maybe you think that this might be something that your kid would be interested in, please contact us, because we are here to help. And that's, again, one of the things that we really do want to do is support new coaches and new programs and give you the resources to where it doesn't have to be scary to start a program. I think a lot of the things that we kind of run into, we talk to PE teachers or even parents that are like, yeah, this would be great, but I don't know how to teach jump rope, because it's just so different. Well, we have a lot of resources that we have video resources. You can literally put us up on a screen and we'll teach your kids. You just got to get them to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So, and that was what I was going to ask you, because I know with football and basketball and all of them, they teach you techniques to dribble, to shoot, to tackle. So when a child comes into the program or is interested in doing this, do you give them some techniques? Are there breathing techniques? What kind of techniques could you be looking forward to having to do if you were to go this way?
Sure, yeah. And so a lot of times when we step into a school or just any environment where we're teaching, the first thing is just kind of getting used to your rope, right? Getting the handles into your hand, make sure that you're in your ready position, which means your shoulders are nice and tall, that you're and relax as well with your hands in front and ready to actually swing the rope over. And then once the rope comes over your head, we're kind of focusing on the very first jump. Let's just get you over the rope, and we will celebrate that small success first. Yes. And then once we get that, then we try to go into a series of like some footwork skills. It could be jumping on one foot, jumping side to side. And then quickly after that, we get into something called like non-jumping skills, where these are skills that don't take a whole bunch of effort jumping wise to be successful at the skill, but it might take one jump. So we're talking about doing side swings and doing one jump. Well, after that, you feel like you've accomplished a lot by only doing one jump, and now you're adding some movement, some side swings, some rotations, but still you're only doing one jump to complete the skill. And so a lot of times when we start off with a series of those skills to get kids and adults engaged, understanding things. And then over the course of 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, however long we do a program, then, their skills will increase as they go through. You
can build on them. Well, when you first started talking about that, one of the things I just heard you say, and I know this from experience, is that your rope matters. You can't just go to a dollar store and get a rope and do the kind of things that you guys do. So what kind of rope is there, like a particular brand or name, or what would they look for if they were really wanting to get their skills built? What kind of rope?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right, it does matter. We always recommend something called a beaded jump rope. And so if you've probably seen them before, they look like little beads on a string. And that type of rope actually gives the rope some kind of weight so that you can feel it and you know where it is in space at all times. And so that actually really helps kids to be able to learn and feel successful a little bit quicker, connect with their rope better. And so those, you can find those on our website. And we have them up there in all kinds of, fun colors and things like that. But beaded ropes are what we recommend.
Oh, wow. And so how much they cost about? So if a parent is interested, because I would be thinking as a parent, hey, this might be one of the sports I could afford, because when I did football with my kids, you got the helmet and the chin strap and the jock strap and the shoulder pads. It's like, when does this end? With the money you spend. So when you're going to jump rope, what kind of expenses are they as a parent looking at?
I mean, we're talking for a rope, $20.
Yeah.
I mean, something super quick. And like Kaylee said, with the beaded ropes specifically, they're great for indoor and outdoor use as well. So your kids can jump outside. They're not going to shatter on you. The handles are really durable as well. And so we sell all those on our website. And then there's also just other types of ropes that you can get into after you get into the beaded ropes. So there's licorice ropes, more the plastic or the PVC that a lot of people use, that they're also called like speed ropes. So people use those. And then when you get into the more competition portion of like speed, you'll go from a plastic rope to a wire rope. And so now it's like an airplane wire rope. And so if you're looking at the individuals on YouTube and things like that, and they're going really, really fast in a jog step.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't see the rope, and it's because they have a wire rope.
So thin.
And
that's what it is. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, my little rope from the dollar store is so thick. I'm like, how do they make it go away like that?
Yeah. So that's the progression of ropes depending on what you're working on. That's what you would.
Well, that's really great. So I know we're going to, can you give us your website while we're talking about that? Some people might want to look at it now to see what other kind of things that you have on there that they could purchase.
For sure. Yeah. So if you go to learnintheropes.com, there is no G in learning because we're trying to be cool for the kids.
Okay, learning.
So learnintheropes.com, and then just go to the far right-hand side, click on store, and you'll see our ropes over there. You'll see some of our programs over there, and you'll also see shirts. We have shirts and sweatshirts and all that kind of good stuff as well to just kind of brand you, and so that you can have a good time promoting jump rope and promoting our business as well.
Right. I've seen them, and that y'all have a really like sleek look about those shirts. They make you look like you can do stuff you can't do. I was like, you feel like power when you put on that shirt. But that's great. So let me just say, well, they'll go to the website and see all the wonderful things and programs and things that you all offer, and you do travel. Let's talk about travel, the places that you have gone. Talk about your most memorable experiences, and then we'll also let everybody know how you can travel to come see them.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So we travel all the time. I think between the two of us, we've been to probably like 22 or 3 different countries and most of the states. We've still got to hit the Dakotas. We haven't hit the Dakotas yet. Yeah, it's hard, but we travel a lot, which has been such a blessing. I think, I'm trying to think of my favorite. I think probably one of my favorite trips, we recently went to Italy, and we didn't have long there, but that one, it was a bucket list item for sure. We got to travel around Rome a little bit, so that was really cool. And then I think another one was South Africa. South Africa is absolutely beautiful, just unmatched. And so, yeah, those are some really, really cool memories for sure.
Well, I've been to Italy, and I agree with you so much. Italy, the trip we went to Italy was just so wonderful. It was very memorable. Haven't been to South Africa. That's the next one on my list that I want to go to, hopefully next year. Lord blesses us. And so everybody talks about it so wonderfully. And so with traveling all over the world, Nick, what are your two? Give me your 2 favorites.
For sure. So I would say, I went to China some years ago, and I got a chance to jump on the Great Wall of China. So that was cool. And then I'm trying to think, a couple more. I would say Paris is jumping underneath the Eiffel Tower. That was a really cool experience. And Bermuda is just very beautiful because of its beaches, right? It's just very clean and just the water's awesome. So those are some of my favorite places besides Italy as well, that I've been able to travel to. And I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else. Tanzania and Kenya, those are some really cool places to go.
Yeah, you said the experience there, just seeing.
Yeah, so we were in either Tanzania or Kenya, but I was living in Seattle at the time, and we had a huge jump rope gym. We had kids coming in, gymnastics area, wood floor, everything. And during the summer, we would actually bring in some of the kids from Tanzania to come and jump with us and just have a good time and just experience all that we had. But then in December, we will go over there and produce a championship in camp for their jumpers. And while we were over there, we were hanging out with some of the kids, and they said, "Hey, do you want to come see our jump rope gym?" And we're like, "Sure, let's do it." Okay. So we travel over, we go to the jump rope gym, and it's a field, and they're very proud of this field. And so we're like, "Okay." They're like, "Let me show you around." We're like, "Okay." So we walk out there, and they're like, "Yeah, so this is our wood floor because it's basically smooth, right? They can
smooth dirt.
It's smooth dirt.
Smooth dirt.
Perfect." And they say, "Okay, now over here, this is our blue floor in gymnastics, like the spring floor and soft." So it was basically like kind of a grassy area or soft sand where they could do their flips. And then they said, "Oh yeah, over here's our trampoline." And I'm like, "Well, where's the trampoline?" "Well, it's a rock." And so the rock, they could actually leap themselves, and go into the air onto some softer ground. But like they basically mimicked what we did in the US, but for what they had. It was such a humbling experience to go out there and be like, "You did it." And we jumped with them. We had a good time in their gym, and
they're so content.
Oh yeah.
Like so content.
No shoes, just whatever they had. It was the best experience.
Wow. And that's in Tanzania?
Yeah. It was Tanzania or Kenya, one of the two. I can't remember exactly, but it was awesome.
I've been to Kenya before too, so I can imagine that, because they're just so creative. They don't complain, they just make it happen with what they have. And over here, we complain so much. And when you go over there, you realize how much we really have, and that we're not even using it. I like it when you're talking about that, because one of the things that I really think we need to get our children more involved is being creative. Taking what you have and making something bigger. Because I'm sure if you had told some kids over here to go out there and jump on that grass, we're like, "I'm not going out there. I need a wood floor. I need this." But when you don't have, I know when I first started working with our groups in the communities, some of the at-risk communities, and I went over there and they had a trash can with a hoop or something on it, and it was their basketball goal. And that was in Houston. And I was like, they were trying to show me them playing basketball. And I was like, oh my God. And that's all they have. So they use it. And they had water, literally the milk jugs, they made them out of water jugs. So they would come from their apartments that morning with the water jug and this trash can, and they would play on this dirt ground with dirt just flying everywhere. But today, I think we just don't, our kids just are not as creative and content. And by content means you take whatever you have and make the most of it. And so some of these same kids are very, I'm sure you would say they're very athletically inclined, and they jump rope just as well as those with the regular gyms.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Because there's a will and there's a determination to get it done. Yeah, wow. Absolutely. So what would you say that would be your most challenging place that you went to teach children, or what was your most challenging?
I would say that just because it was different, like I said, very humbling as well. And so I think that was probably one of the most challenging. I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else that I went to that was like similar.
Okay. Yeah, I would say yes, it's challenging to teach in places like that. There was a similar kind of vibe, I think, like in South Africa where we went, and then the island of Cyprus, there was a kind of some poverty there a little bit. So it's challenging, but it's also less challenging in a way because those kids are very anxious to let other kids go and like you know,
Yeah.
oh no, it's your turn, you know, and then you come, and sometimes it's more challenging in the US because it's like they're fighting over who gets to get in the rope next, you know, and
Exactly.
yeah, so sometimes that can actually be more challenging.
Mhm.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. So, okay, so talk about the competitions. How do you get involved? Well, I guess you got to go through all the training first, and then when you get to a competition, are you trying out or selected or recruited? How does that part of the sport work?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
that's a great question. So traditionally, our sport has been great at the high level competitions and not so great at the grassroots. So the higher level competitions, normally the way that you get into that, kind of the way that we did, you join a team and then that team travels usually at least to the next state to go to their regional competition. And then from there, you kind of move up through the ranks if you place high enough and make your way to nationals. And then at this point now, if you want to go to the worlds, you have to try out and go to a special competition for that. So that's kind of the higher level gigs, right? But slowly but surely, we are seeing those grassroots tournaments pop up more and more. So the lowest level, like the most grassroots level that we have right now, Nick mentioned earlier, our virtual tournament. So that one, I mean, literally in your PE classes or in your after school, you know, at the YMCA or wherever you go at the rec center, the coach or instructor can time you for 30 seconds, count how many jumps you do, and then send in your scores, and you're compared against kids from all over the world. So
Wow.
that is the easiest entry point at this time to compete in jump rope.
You know, and I think that would be really great. I really like what you guys are doing because, you know, we have after school programs at all the public schools now have them.
Mhm.
And I'm sure trying to get someone to come in is probably very difficult on a consistent basis. That's good and going to be really there. But the thing that, you know, that I liked that came out very good of COVID is that it forced us to go virtual.
Mhm.
It forced us to be able to think outside the box and say, oh, what can I do? I can't go out. So let's make a video. Let's bring the people in and let's do it this way. This is how this show actually started. When we got shut out from the church, the Lord said, go live, you know, and talk to the people and kind of encourage them, you know, and get involved in the things that are going on, keep them updated on things. And it just started. It's been over 2 years now. And I'm like, still having things that I'm talking to people about. So the program that you're talking about, I can just imagine that if you can get in all of the after school programs through a virtual thing, it will be something that is economically easy for the schools to afford.
Mhm.
It's something that is needed. And those little kindergarten kids that are running around there driving their teachers crazy, jumping off the desk and so forth, we may have the next national championship or international champion person that comes from there. Because if you start young with the young people, then they will stick with it and they will become the junior high person who's still interested, and then the high school, then the 20-year-old like you that says, hey, I want to take this better. I want to teach. I want to start something in my church at my summer camp. And I can see how this could really go big.
Yes, ma'am. Like,
Wow.
yeah, that's our goal. And like Kaylee said, when we got into it, we had to travel to a different state all the time in order to compete.
Yeah, which is
And
expensive.
yeah, it's expensive,
Yeah.
right? You're basically like on a travel team at that point. But
And time consuming on your body, your energy, your mind. Who has time for anything else when you're traveling all the time?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so what we want to create is a way for, we'll just talk about Houston specifically right now, but all you got to do is within a 6-week period, there might be 2 or 3 local competitions that you can kind of go to. Some of them might be virtual, but some of them might be in person. But there should be so many things going on in your area that you don't have to leave. And then if you want more, similar to like a travel baseball or travel basketball, you go find a team that's on that competitive level. So they would have come and found a Razzmatazz or a Heart and Soul to get that upper level competition. But if you just want to do the local stuff, there should be enough going on in the city to make that happen. And so far, our sport hasn't done that.
Right.
So that's what we're trying. That's what we're trying to do now, is to create those opportunities in these cities so that they don't have to leave.
Wonderful. I think that is amazing. And it's so needed. It's so much needed. And I can just see the great possibilities for you guys, because you're champions and you got to pass it on, you know. I'm a stickler for, let's get this and make sure everybody knows it. So when one day when I can't do this, we can pass it on, it doesn't die. But I think that would be an excellent thing. And then you can find the people, just like they have Little League football. Everybody thinks that their little league child is going to be in in the NBA or the NFL one day. And they're not, but they're having fun and they're exercising. So let's talk about the part of the health part of it that so that's relaxing, is what you're talking about, is fun, it's competitive, you know, it's all of those kind of things. But what about, what does it do for the heart and the health of our children? Because nowadays our children are stuck on a computer in a room, and I know they're getting obese, and all kind of heart things are coming up, health things, because our children are not getting outside and not using that heart and the muscles. Can you talk about the health part of this, that even if their children are not going to be a professional like this one day, that this could be a really fun way to keep them healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, right? We were created to move. And so when we don't move, everything in our body goes wrong. So physically it wreaks havoc, right? Mentally, we suffer the consequences of not moving. And so jump rope is a really good antidote to that, to our sedentary kind of society, I think. So yeah, I mean, physically the benefits are endless, but a couple of the ones that people think about, right, are heart health. And so your heart's a muscle. The more you exercise your heart, the stronger it gets, the better it can pump. And so jump rope's amazing for that, and just preventing that heart disease that is so prevalent. And then of course things like, and you mentioned obesity, right, which comes with its own slew of issues like diabetes and things like that. And so jump rope again is a really good like antidote to that, that's becoming so prevalent. And it helps regulate blood sugar, and it helps to keep weight in check, and make your bones stronger, and just all kinds of different things physically that jump rope can do for you, for sure. And then also I mentioned mental health. Jump rope is amazing for fighting off symptoms of depression, anxiety, all these things that we're actually starting to see kind of pop up in our younger populations. Jump rope is amazing for staving off those symptoms as well.
I like that. And the other thing about jump rope too is you don't have to have a partner.
Correct.
You know, when you're doing computer games, you want to compete against each other. But when I was growing up, we all had jump ropes, but they weren't like popular like that. We just went outside and we would jump and skip rope and do little things. We never did anything fancy, but just the jumping mentally, you know, when it takes your mind off of what you don't have. When we were poor, it took our mind off the fact we were poor. We were jumping and things like that. And a lot of people up north did the double jump. We didn't really do that. We just did the two, jump in, run in, jump out, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I think that's really something too that parents could do for their kids and their grandchildren, is buy them a nice jump rope for a gift, instead of buying all these computer things and things that they have to sit down. Now, the other thing is about age. So how old is how old is too old to start jumping? And what are the ages that you've seen with the jumping?
I mean, honestly, it's never too late at all. Never too early either, honestly. I mean, we've seen kids, one of our friends in Bermuda, actually, I think her son might be 3 and is able to jump, and he's great at it right now.
Shoot, we've seen 5-year-olds at the national competition, like killing it. I mean, it's yeah.
Wow.
And as far as older adults as well, you had a
I taught a jump rope class at the University of Tennessee when I was there as a GTA. And I had a lady, it was all college students, and I had a lady walk in one day, and I can't remember exactly, but she was in her 70s. And so so we did the whole first day syllabus introduction of the class. And then I went over and I talked to her at the end, and I was like, all right, Kaylee, don't be offensive here, you know, but I did want to let her know. I was like, we're going to be jumping. Like, it's an active class. And she was like, oh, I know, like, I'm ready for it. I was like, okay, yes, ma'am. And, you know, I mean, she killed it. Like, she did so great. And she became one of my best double Dutch turners of all time in the whole class. Wow. So yeah, it's literally never too late.
Well, let me just ask you this too, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up, because we're almost out of time here, or we're getting close. We got about 10 more minutes. We're good. But as far as giving something to the children. I always like to do what I call an education kind of thing on like, career, you can do this, you're eating properly. So you got the exercise. Do you ever talk about with kids eating properly? Because I know you guys, you just can't eat anything, right? Or can you?
It's like a yes and no, but it's better to eat more healthier foods, of course. And I'll let Kaylee talk more about that. And if you didn't know already, Kaylee is a professor at Western Kentucky University. So she's actually done a lot of research on a lot of these things.
Okay.
And got her PhD in exercise science and stuff like that. So when it comes to like,
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Kaylee. You got your PhD in exercise. What is it called?
Exercise science.
Exercise science. I love it. Wonderful. Okay, you can really help us here. So, okay. So talk about that. I know exercise is great, but you got to have some nutrition to go with it.
You do. Yes. You do. So exercise, like you said, it's great. It's a big piece of the puzzle. But you got to think, what are you putting inside of your body? And that's going to directly impact how your organs function. Right. And so what I like to tell people, there's all kinds of fad diets out there. You'll hear so many things about, oh, don't eat any carbs, because if you eat a carb, you're going to be fat. And then you hear, oh, high fat diet, low fat diet, all these things. Right. The best thing that you can do for your body is to eat the foods that God created. If it comes in a can or in a package, right, it might not be the worst thing in the world for you, but it's never going to be as good as the thing that grows in the ground and it's in its original form. So the most, like, if you can 80% whole foods that came from what God did, and then save your 20% for things that are a little bit more processed, you're going to be much better off than if it was the other way around, which is the way that most people tend to eat because it's so convenient, right? So aim for the whole foods.
Well, I'm going to get a question in here for me and for some of my friends that are of a certain age, and we're starting to have some challenges with things kind of, falling a little bit. So are there certain exercises that can fight the aging processes or the tighten the stomach up? Can you give us what can we do to tighten the stomach up besides, because a lot of us don't eat that much. It just seems like it's just the muscles are not acting right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, two things that I love other than jump rope, of course. Jump rope is great for everything, and it truly is. But walking is fantastic. Walk as much as you can, and clearly pace yourself. If you're not a walker, don't go out and do 10 miles the first day. It's not the way to go, but definitely walking is great. And then adding a little bit of resistance exercise. A lot of people stay away from resistance training, but that's what builds up your muscles. And it's going to help not only your muscles, but also your bones, your metabolic rate, which is how fast your body burns calories. And so it's an important piece to fitness.
So a little bit deeper here, because you said two things that kind of got me. Number one was building up bone, because I know as we age, we lose bone. But I think it was a doctor told me that you can build bone back through exercising. Is that right? Or can you recoup some bone?
In a way, yes. Are you going to go from severe osteoporosis to perfect bones? No. Past a certain age, right? The majority of our bone building happens before we're about 25. However, you can certainly stop the process of losing bone. And yes, you can slowly build a little bit of bone back with good nutrition, good calcium, vitamin D, and exercise.
Okay, that's really good. And so now for the toning of the stomach, you don't have this problem. When you get a certain age, you'll have this problem probably if you stop jumping rope. But do you have any particular exercise or things that you can do? Because I know you got to have a good, what is this thing called? Not structure, but your torso has to be aligned and strong.
Yeah, core.
Is that what is it called here?
Your core.
Your core, yes, your core, your center. So do you have any advice for any of us that are at a certain age with our core of, getting that posture up and the belly up?
I would say probably planking exercises are really good.
Yeah.
What's a plank?
Yeah.
So think of like And there's several different variations. So if you hear this and you're like, I could never do that, there's variations. But it's like a push-up position, but you're just holding the position and trying to draw in your core muscles. And now you can do this on your knees. You can do it all kinds of modified ways. But it's a great way to tighten all of those muscles up.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to have to try. I think I know what you're talking. Are you talking about too? Like I have a certain area in my house where it's between my stove and my whatever. And so this lady, I think she told me to do something like that. You just push like you're doing push-ups, but when you do it with your stomach held in. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
I can do that. I can do that. And it's pretty easy too, because a lot of times, when you get to be a certain weight or whatever, it's just hard to push up off the floor and so forth. So now talk to me about what's coming up and any competitions coming up, or when are you coming to Houston, or talk to us about that so we can kind of be expecting you.
For sure. Things coming up with our business. I do a lot of traveling. I literally just got back from Anchorage, Alaska last week. I was out there working with some schools. So I do a lot of school engagement. So this coming up week, I'll be in Milwaukee and then Massachusetts, and then we'll go to New Jersey after that. As far as coming into Houston, I think April, I would say 19th to the 24th. It's like a Wednesday through Monday. I have a series of schools that I'll be kind of working with there. Kaylee can't travel with me all the time, given that she's a professor at Western Kentucky. So when like her spring breaks or she gives her classes off, that's when she travels with me.
My students love that.
Yes.
I know they do. Like, go with your husband.
Exactly.
We'll be okay.
So that's coming up. There is a national championship coming up and a world championship coming up this summer that we're not necessarily competing anymore. Like our business over the last 3 or 4 years has grown so much that we are focusing on the business and how we can get the masses jumping. And then we stay very connected with our jump rope community. So we'll go and do some commentating. I do a lot of social media stuff as far as posting for the organizations and making sure everything's going well while we're there. So we do a lot of the background stuff now and allowing the younger generation to take over and do their thing, because they are very, very good right now. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that's really big coming up for us.
Yeah, I think that's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
And so the schools, if they want you to come in, they just go to your website and request that you come to their schools. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at the schools or at the churches or wherever you would come to a summer camp?
For sure. So yeah, as far as going, if you go to our website, there is just a contact spot at the very, very bottom. So you can use that. Or you can go, like if you click on schools, there's another contact form there. So we have forms everywhere. But when we come into schools, when we come into churches, we do a couple different things. One are our performances. So we do about a 30 to 45-minute show with some high-level jumping, a motivational message, and some crowd interaction throughout the entire thing. So that's a lot of fun. When we come to churches specifically, we're actually able to like preach and talk about the gospel more. So we love to connect, our love for God and love for Jesus and jump rope and like mesh those together. So we do a lot of those for different like youth basketball events for churches and like Easter events and summer camp programs. So that's one thing that we do. And then the other thing, we call them PE class takeovers. So we come is exactly what it sounds like. We come into your school and we teach your classes all day long. And so they get a chance to experience, just different skills that they might not have with their PE teacher. And then it's also a really good time for the PE teacher as well, because they get a chance to see how we teach it, what else we can do. So then when we leave, they kind of keep going with it and the kids are already excited about it. So I think those are the two big things that we do for schools. Of course, we do halftime shows for NBA teams and corporate events as well.
We also do professional developments
Yes.
that are specifically designed for PE teachers. So we hear that a lot of the professional development opportunities are geared toward the classroom teachers. When we come in and we're solely focused on PE and teaching them how to teach jump rope in a better way and enhance their lessons.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I'm so excited and I'm praying for you guys. You always have been so inspirational to our church and our kids that you come, and we're so proud have Nick come from our church, First Metropolitan Church, Bishop John Ogletree, Pastor Johnny Ogletree, and so I'm just so happy to have seen you grow, and it just seemed like you just like the old folks say, you took off like a weed, just like all of a sudden you were little Nick, and all of a sudden it's like, well, he's doing what? Where is he? And so we're so proud of you and Kaylee and your wonderful marriage that you have together, that you're doing this together. And we pray God's greatest blessings upon you. I don't know if you're coming home for Easter, but if you are, maybe we can get together something for Good Friday. And maybe invite the community here that's watching to come out and see you in person. And I know you guys sign autographs and you have all kind of things that you can to leave with us for the memory. And I'm so happy to know that you're going to have a virtual that we can reach out and bring you into our homes, into our churches and schools, so we can spread this jump rope all over the world, and it will never, ever die down. So thank you guys again for coming to Tea Talk. It's been a wonderful blessing. And thank you all for joining. Please take this message and share to everyone you know, that it would be an inspiration to them and be able to have an opportunity to bring this beautiful couple out to share. And the other thing I like about them is they love the Lord. They are Christians. They love the Lord. And so their character is such that they're good role models for your children to see and my children to see and to model after in this great community and beyond. So thank you for stopping in today, and I will see you next week at 3 for Tea Talk with Lady O. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
See ya.